I'm co-founder of DataCubes with Kuldeep Malik. I'm the chief product officer there. We have an underwriting platform for commercial P&C carriers. The essential vision for the platform is to help commercial carriers underwrite commercial risk by knowing as few pieces of information as possible, right? So going back to the concept of if I can have the name and address of a company, can I underwrite that risk credibly using a variety of data sources? So that's our idea. We're about 2.5 years old, have 7 customers. I'll walk you through the platform, no slideware, keep it simple. If I know my password, we'll get there. Oh, there we go. Good. So I'll start with this view just to talk through what this means. We think of data as like 2 pieces of information that feeds the underwriter. So there's information that walks in the door. This is literally data that your broker or an agent is emailing you on a supplemental spreadsheet, document, core documents, loss history, schedule of values, things like that. So there is this that a lot of the underwriters are very familiar with, right? So you can send that in, right, to our platform, for example. And if our Wi-Fi is good, it'll show up here. But the idea is that underwriters today get emails, right, that come in the door with a whole bunch of data in it. We have underwriting assistants, back office crew sitting offshore, whatever be the setup, that collects all of that information and drops it into rating spreadsheets, policy systems, things like that. The idea here is step 1, can I abstract that problem as a data problem, take the information out of that document, and present it back to the underwriter in a meaningful way? Underwriter could be a human, it could be a machine, but can I take the human out of that equation so that as soon as that submission hits my wire, my inbox, can I pull the data out of that? And that's what happened with this community service center, a sanitized document. But essentially, what is happening here is that the documents that were in that email is getting processed and pulling the information out of it and presenting it back to the underwriter. So that's step 1. Step 2 is pull the information out of that document and then enrich it with external data. I think Piyush was here talking about some of the external data sources. There's a broad array of data sources out there. There's building permits, things like that, right? So the idea here is, can I bring that into bear and essentially present a view back to the underwriter, which is essentially what they care about. Like, they don't care about building permits or restaurant inspections or scraping websites or any of those things. The underwriter literally cares about, can I answer certain questions to actually credibly rate the risk, right? So what we're trying to do here is look at the external data, compare it with the application if one's available, and actually cross-check and actually see if, as an underwriter, you can actually see if there are signals that allow you to make a better underwriting decision, right? So in this example, what we did was we looked at the application, and the applicant or the agent had informed us saying that they don't use subcontractors. Our external data analysis actually says they do use subcontractors. So there is an opportunity for us to actually say, hey, can I actually see why the machine is telling me that? So you can flip from sort of this pre-underwriting view where it's actually responses to the underwriting question to actually external data that may have supported that decision making, right? So you can go in here and look at all the broad array of data sources. So maybe it was looking at building permits, for example, in this instance, to actually say, yeah, you know what, they do very large construction, compared to the number of employees that have and the revenue flow, this could be right. They do use subcontractors, right? So this is sort of the idea there. You can bring all of this data in front of the underwriter in a meaningful way, but start with the view of having the underwriting decisions that they're looking to make presented back to them, and then they can decide if they want to deep dive into the data or not, right? So it's not relevant for them to jump into the data if there's no actually sort of signals that allow them to say, hey, something's wrong about this risk. The other opportunity here is if you can underwrite this with external data, you have the customer engagement problem that you can really ask them fewer questions to actually rate and quote the risk. So that's another opportunity where you can say, if I knew the name and address of a business, and if I can credibly answer the underwriting questions, maybe I don't need to have an agent in the middle, for example, right? I can go to direct to customers. So some possibilities in terms of what can happen. But essentially, that's the product. The product actually allows you to look for customers, information online, you can search for it, and then look it up, and then add on anything that came in the door in terms of application data and support the enrichment of that process in an automated fashion. So that's pretty much it. Cool.